Much of the conflict in Sekiro is rooted in what we know as the dragon's heritage that bestows power and immortality to those who bear it. This is the effect of the being known as the Divine Dragon of the Everblossom. The best place to start when exploring the lore of this being is the item Remnant Divine Dragon, which reads as follows. The Divine Dragon of the Everblossom came from the west long ago, eventually making its way to this land. Some parts of Ashina are exceedingly old. Water coursing through her ancient rocks and soil allowed the dragon to take root. The dragon is not native to Ashina, or Japan it would seem, and it came from the west. But where is this west? Most obviously, it is not likely to be from Europe, given the cultural basis of the dragon. If it is from the real physical world, to me it is more likely to be from China, which is of course west of Japan. Yet that being said, I believe that the dragon is from the metaphysical west, rather than a geographic location. The divine child of the rejuvenating water says the dragon's heritage was set free from its homeland, and it drifted here to Japan. In Buddhism, there is a mythological place called Gokuraku, or ultimate bliss, the Western Pure Land. The Western Paradise is a place in where one can be reborn if you follow the 4 causes that can get you there. I will link some further reading on this in the below. In the return or true ending, we make a journey to the west, and if we look at the Buddhist myths, this is actually a journey to the dragon's home plane of existence, rather than a journey to an actual geographic location. The Divine Child says to Sekiro that despite the fact she knows that it is the west she is travelling to, she doesn't really know where it is exactly, and this makes more sense if it is not a fixed geographic location. Also consider the fact that the place is never actually named in the lore, and instead is kind of abstractly referred to as the West. Therefore, the dragon came from this sacred metaphysical place, the West, and ended up in Ashina, after somehow being set free from its prior realm of existence. The remnant identifies the fact that the dragon took root, and this is appropriate as it refers to the dragon's earthly representation, the Everblossom. This is Sakura tree, and it is the tree that took root in Japan, as described by this remnant. The divine dragon is not a physical being in this world, but more a divine spirit that exists within the tree. In Japanese folklore, there are said to be spirits that inhabit old trees called Kodama. This fits perfectly with the in-game lore, where the dragon is clearly the spirit of the tree. In the same folklore, it is also said that cutting down these trees that contain the spirits will bring misfortune or curses, which is interesting, given the Takeru plotline. An interesting fact about Sakura trees is that they can rot very easily. I find this to be great interest, given the whole theme of the dragon rot. Even more interesting is the fact that this rot can start very easily if there are wounds or cuts in the bark of the Sakura trees. The dragon is missing his arm and has a gouge in his bark or skin. The dragon is the tree, and this is why the petals of the Everblossom are often associated with the blood of the dragon heirs. The blood of the dragon is the blood of the Sakura tree. When we decapitate ourselves in the purification ending, petals of the Everblossom burst forth from our blood, as this is the blood of the dragon. Indeed, when we even cure dragon rot, we also see petals of the Everblossom spreading out to give back that which was taken. The Sakura droplet also alludes that the physical tree is the source of the dragon's heritage. The dragon's heritage is the direct bestowal of the immortality of the dragon. Those that are blessed with this blood have the dragon's blood running through their veins, as mentioned before, and is represented by the petals previously mentioned. Sakura are symbolic of renewal and the fragility of life, given that the Sakura flowers are very short-lived. This is fitting, given that the Sakura dragon offers an everlasting life in contrast to what we usually associate these trees with. Takeru and Kuro were two examples of direct heirs of the dragon's blood. Hand in hand with these heirs are the Oathsworn of the divine heirs, which are those that are given the dragon's heritage directly by the divine heirs themselves, by supping on their blood. Such is the fate of Sekiro after his death at the hands of Owl at the Hirata estate. There are differences here between the Oathsworn and the divine heirs. As Sekiro, we can still bleed, be hurt, and in essence killed, albeit not permanently. Unlike those who directly inherit the dragon's blood, they cannot even bleed without the assistance of a mortal blade. We can see from the item, the divine dragon's tears, that the dragons are essentially everlasting in regards to their physical bodies, and it would seem that the divine heirs share this heritage. In a way, they are a part of the divine dragon itself, for the quest item Holy Chapter, Dragon's Return, reads as follows: I pray for the dragon's return. Undying, lo, let us wait an age, for the divine heir to assimilate the cold dragon tears, for the cradle to consume the pair of serpentine fruits. Let the cradle endure, giving him shelter, granting his return to the west. This text talks about the dragon's return, yet it seems to conflate the dragon's heir with the dragon. As per the text, it suggests that Kuro is in fact a constituent part, given that he is a direct heir of the dragon's bloodline. This direct heritage is unlike the rejuvenating waters, which are a derivative version of the vitality and immortality bestowed by the dragon. There is a memory that we can witness between Emma and Kuro, where Emma describes that the waters spring from the dragon's blood, and thus from the Sakura tree, and in a way is part of the dragon's heritage, just in an indirect manner. In Japanese mythologies, dragons are often thought of as gods of rain and water, and I think that this is appropriate and help explains the relationship between the dragon and the aquatic that we see in Fountainhead Palace. As I've mentioned before in my ape and divine children videos, the rejuvenating waters flow from this tree down through Fountainhead Palace and eventually into the lands below. In fact, if we look at the environmental details in this area, we can see the exact spot from where these waters begin to flow, and that is the shrine at the top, where we enter the divine realm. The waters flow from here, down the steps, and eventually into the body of water at the bottom, which will then drop down from Fountainhead Palace through a waterfall, and end up in areas such as the Sunken Valley. The spirit tree would take root in the region, which would become known as Fountainhead Palace, and it is appropriately named, given that it is the fountainhead for these divine waters. It would become known as an extension of the divine realm, and for that reason, many people seeking the powers of the divine would end up coming here. Given that the dragon's rejuvenating waters are coursing through this place, it is no wonder that a lot of the themes associated with this divine realm are aquatic. The treasure carps, and not to mention the great carps, are no doubt products of the rejuvenating waters and the influence of the aquatic divine dragon. The appearance of the nobles and the Okami clan, i.e. the aquatic humanoids, is no doubt a result of the consistent contact with the divine waters of the tree. I've covered the journey of the Okami clan before, but again, this clan of warrior women sought to come here, and would eventually do so, following the betrothal ceremony. They are now here, and stand guard over the divine realm and the ever-blossom tree. We know from the dancing dragon's mask that these warriors held the tree and the dragon within with reverence, for it states, the Okami warrior women would wear this to the Fountainhead Palace. There they would dance as an offering for the dragon. Mysteriously, this ritual left them brimming with vigour. The mask describes the offerings and religious ceremonies of the clan in order to receive the power of the dragon. As with everything to do with the dragon, it bestows vitality upon its worshippers. This isn't the only sign of religious worship of the dragon at Fountainhead Palace. For example, there is the betrothal ceremony itself, which indeed has a religious aspect to it. The corrupted monk that guards the bridge is actually a priestess, which suggests a position in a religious organisation, most likely linked to the dragon. There is also the woman who is at this shrine. There's been a lot of speculation as to who this woman is, but if you try and interact with her after the defeat of the dragon, it lets you know that she is the Shrine Maiden, again suggesting some sort of religious position. I'm going to put my speculation hat on here and have a stab at what she is, or who she is. She is dressed in a white dress and seems to have some kind of tiara on. We hear many mentions of a betrothal ceremony, yet we don't know what it is. Is it possible that this is some kind of religious ceremony or offering to the dragon, much like we see in the Okami clan's dancing dragon mask description? I would guess in this ceremony, she comes to be the way she is. The description tells us that she is dreaming, she is asleep, perhaps connected to the divine realm, connected to the dragon itself, as a betrothal. If this is not the case, I would then postulate that she is in fact just another aspect of the religion here, and has some role to do with the upkeep of the shrine. There is evidence that Takeru himself is actually from the Fountainhead Palace, possibly meaning he has the appearance of one of the court nobles. The aromatic branch suggests this, for it says, the Everblossom is a Sakura tree, and as such is ripe with nostalgia. Takeru would likely gaze upon this branch when it bloomed, reminded of home. This was once his home, and alongside Tomoe of the Okami clan, his oathsworn, they would leave for Ashina, taking this branch from the great tree, the Sakura tree, with them. The reason for doing so was to remind himself of home. But I won't go into the story too much, given it's covered ground in my prior videos. But it is an important story for the divine dragon, as it is important to note that Takeru cut a branch from the tree, and when we finally meet the divine dragon in his divine form, we can see that he is in fact missing an arm. This is no doubt meant to be representative of the branch that Takeru took. Of course, it is also in line with the theme of those of one arms, such as orangutan and wolf. As I've mentioned before, is easily rot, and for me it seems like rot has taken place in this tree, partially because of the damage that has been caused to the dragon. We hear of Takeru attempting to rid himself of the dragon's heritage, partially because of the affliction that comes with it. I postulate that all the stagnation and dragon rot that comes from the dragon, including the rot that afflicts itself, is A result of the damage that is done to it, but B, and more importantly, is something that the divine child of the rejuvenating water tells us, that the dragon's heritage is not natural to this land, and it is not meant to be here, and thus it is corrupted itself and the land around it, and will continue to do so, unless it's returned to the west, to its home. When we first arrive in the divine realm, we come face to face with what appears to be the Everblossom, but it is completely withered and appears to be suffering from rot. From this realm, instead, come the old dragons of the tree, wooden in their appearance, given that they are part of the Everblossom tree. What happens here, I believe, is that we are fighting or destroying the rot within the tree and within the dragon itself. We are cutting away these pale, sickly branches, which in time are replaced by the healthy, darker ones. These unhealthy ones demonstrate how corrupted they are by the fact they keep vomiting up deadly poison. Once we finally cut away all the rot within the tree, the healthy form of the Everblossom tree blooms before us, with the divine dragon rising from it, looking healthy except for the missing arm and the various gouges in its chest. This allows us to collect the divine dragon tears after purging the rot from the tree, and it is therefore necessary to do this part of the fight. Despite the rot that afflicts the dragon is nonetheless everlasting, for the divine dragon tears read as follow: "The body of the divine dragon is eternal, and its tears, once shed, will maintain their form and moisture in perpetuity. No matter what ailment it suffers, and suffered it has, the dragon will continue to exist, no matter what, and this includes the corruption that we find it in. Given this, the permanent solution to the persistent dragon rot is the path that we choose in the return ending. Given that the dragon could exist forever, even in its afflicted form, we cannot simply kill it to dispose of the dragon's rot. Instead, the divine child of the rejuvenating water suggests that we must return the dragon's blood and those connected to it to its rightful place, the mythical West, which we discussed at the beginning. Her hope, and ultimately ours, is that by returning the heritage from Ashina to where it is meant to be, will restore balance and end the corruption. The dragon does not belong here, and until something permanent is done, its rot, its stagnation, and plague of undying infested will continue to infest the land. Thanks guys, that's my take on the divine dragon, where it's from, what it's doing here, and what the rot is. If you like this video, please give me a like as it helps the channel, and subscribe for more Sekiro content, because I do not plan on stopping anytime soon. Thanks guys, and have a good night.